So today in our moment of Halacha, we're going to talk about the synagogue system. Where did it come from? Was it important in Yeshua's time? And is it still important today? So, after the first temple destruction, we were taken off to Babylon. And Nebuchadnezzar, I guess that's the English way of saying the word, kind of spread out or tried to spread out the Jewish people amongst the kingdom of Babylon. And so the leadership of Israel formed a committee. This committee we are aware of here in our synagogue as the Anshe Knesset Hagdola, or the Men of the Great Assembly. This committee, forming of, Daniel, Nehemiah, Ezra, Ezekiel, Zachariah, Mordecai, Rabbi, what's his name? And people like this formed a committee. These great prophets, great men of Israel, right, as well as the Bible as well. And they come up with this type of, multiplicity of systems, about three major ones. You had the Beit Midrash, which is the house of study, which is the school system, right? You got the Beit Din, which is the judgment system or the court system. And then you had the Beit Tefillah, which is the house of prayer or the synagogue. They did this so Israel can stay together as a nation within a nation, within an empire, if you will. And so they would meet in groups, and they would meet, right? The judgment system, they would not let the courts of Babylon decide their fate. They wanted the courts of Israel to decide their own fate within Babylon. So anyway, the synagogue system was caught up, and I'm making it very short. The exile ended, and everybody, not everybody, 20% of us moved to Israel. Guess what they brought with them, Ezra? They brought the synagogue system with. And so this synagogue system was still in place even when the second temple was built. Now, through fighting and stuff, people were arguing, more the Sadducees than anybody else were arguing that there was no need for the synagogue system anymore. Well, the Pharisees said, we're not going to listen to you, and they kept the synagogue system. So the Pharisees controlled, the Pharisaical leadership kept the synagogue system and taught through there. What did they teach? They taught Torah, they taught Tanakh, and they taught oral law. Which, by the way, synagogue system from oral law. Just throwing that out there. It's not in Torah. So, Yeshua comes on the scene. Where does Yeshua teach from? The synagogue system. He would go and read. We saw in the Besorah that he read the book of Ishayahu, Isaiah, the Haftorah. So it was still around at that time, and it was accepted, and Yeshua, meaning Hashem, accepted the synagogue system as a legit system to teach Israel and to whoever else. Now, come later, after Yeshua's ascension, is the synagogue system still around? Well, yeah, of course. Israel was still meeting, and even those believers in Yeshua were meeting in synagogues too. We were just talking about in the adult education that what was Shaul? Where was Shaul going to persecuting all those believers in the Messiah? They were going to synagogue. Not somewhere else. They were actually going to synagogue, which proves the fact that the believers actually went to synagogue. Not a special synagogue. We're talking Israel's synagogue within Israel. So it was still being used then. So now let's fast forward to today. How many things has happened to Israel, right? You have the destruction of the second temple. You have the diaspora. You had many things that happened, and we're not going to go through history, but we know that there's things that have happened to Israel that would encourage assimilation. What has kept them from not assimilating? Number one, Torah. And number two, the synagogue system, because they would meet to study Torah there. So it is an important thing today that the synagogue system still exists, and that we, as believers in Yeshua, participate in this synagogue system and learn from Israel as we should.